Just imagine you have spent sleepless nights trying to pitch that project, and now here you are sitting in front of your steering committee. They are all looking at you, and you think to yourself, yes, finally I did it. You say, okay, this project it will go forward. And then after, you take your deck of slides, slide after slide, you click, they listen, you click, they watch their smartphone, you click, they are typing on their computer, you click. And at the end, the final decision is here. And after all those sleepless nights, go or no go for my project, and the steering committee say, thank you very much for your work, but unfortunately, we are not able to move forward with your project. And there you feel like you are crumbling. You, you cannot feel your legs like me right now, and you say, okay, all that work for nothing. And then here I come and I say, what about using Storytap to pitch your project at work? So without further ado, let's go. Okay, welcome back. So this is the fourth episode of the Storytap framework that I want to share with you to empower you to tell more stories, to tell your story, to tell it in a beautiful and engaging way so that you can amplify your impact. Today we will focus on something that is really important, which is how to pitch your project at work so that your project gets selected to be funded by your organization. I am a project leader at my work, and I'm sure that many of you there you are trying to pitch your project. So let's dive into it and see how we can use the Storytap framework in order to pitch your project. Okay, as you can see here, I try to take a picture from the internet because I think it speaks volumes. And here you can see really how you think that the project is, which is kind of this is how you see the project in your mind. And here is really at the end how the project pitch is going. So clearly, there is something that you can do here. And without further ado, I propose that we go to that very quickly. Okay, so I will just remind you very quickly the Storytap project framework. As you can see, very easy to remember. So the most simple framework that really you can use. So I remind you very briefly the different stages of the Storytap framework. So S as set the stage, T as trigger a need, O as offer a solution here, and then you have R as reveal obstacles, and you have here Y or I as illuminate the path, T as transformation, A as call to action, and P as impact. And as I said in the three previous episodes, I can put the playlist here on YouTube for those who are watching on replay. It's really important to have this framework and adding but therefore, this is the framework used in South Park if you want to learn more where I stole that idea. Okay, if you move to the first step of Storytap for your work, which is set the stage. Okay, um, okay. The first step is set the stage, which is really very important. This is where really, if you are pitching your project, you have the first step is to hook your audience very quickly. So hooking them very quickly is something very important. And the audience generally, as I'm a project manager, is let's say senior leaders in your organization, people who don't have a lot of time. So you really need to capture their attention before they start taking their phone or tapping on their computer or looking away to see if there is a bird outside the window. So basically, to say that even there is a bigger challenge now after COVID, where most of the time some people will be also working remotely. So how you can make sure that you are engaging your audience, this is really something that is key. So how do you hook them instantly? How to make it relevant to them as a project leader? So what is really important here is I will just try to zoom a little bit so that you can see. Okay, like this, it's way better. So clearly, you have to capture their attention. As I said, something that is really very important. Begin with a compelling and engaging hook for your audience. And then after, what you can do, which is really important in the first seconds, minutes of your project or the first slide of your project, is really to connect the project to the organization's strategic objectives. Meaning that your project is not living in a vacuum. You have really to say, okay, this is my project and this is how it connects to the strategy of our organization. This is something that is really important. And you have also to something that is really important to create a shared purpose. So you have the vision of the organization, how your project is contributing to that, how your project is helping the organization move to that direction. So creating like a shared vision is something really important, and to show at the beginning how your project is benefiting the organization. So as all senior leaders that will be there, they will say, okay, what's in it for me, for my organization, for my team? What if this project will bringing to my team? So this is really something that is important. And really, you have to establish also credibility. So meaning that maybe it's your first time as a project leader, maybe you have done some other project in the past that have worked or not. So it's really important here that you focus on what has worked before. Either maybe a project where you have contributed and it is a successful project in the organization. So this is something really that is important, and that is something that you really need to highlight at the beginning of your project. So what I will do in the coming slides, so for each of the steps, I will try to give you a use case, an example of, let's say, the Storytap framework applied, let's say, to pitching a project at work. So I will introduce you to a new person, and her name is Sarah. So Sarah is a very dynamic marketing specialist, and who steps forward and she's ready to pitch her project. And she begins by creating a shared context. We all know about personalization and how it is key to winning customer hearts. It's that feeling of being seen, understood, and valued. So she's setting the stage, and the new project that she's trying to pitch is about, let's say, how to use personalization to attract more customers. So on the next steps, I will continue this story. So each time I will talk about a step, I will continue the story. So keep in mind how Sarah is setting the stage in the first minutes of pitching her new project idea. This is something that is really important. So once you have set the stage, what is important is then after you have to trigger on it. Triggering on it is say, okay, I have painted the picture of how things are today, and you have to create a sense of urgency, and then you have to say, paint a picture of the problems that are in the organization, and that's for which your project is the solution. So this is where you trigger on it. So you have to present a problem. It's always important to create a sense of urgency, because this is something that is really, really important. And that is clearly something that you have to do. And how can you do that? So to do that, it's really very simple. So you have already defined the stage before. Then after, you have to clearly define the problem or opportunity. Okay, so this is something that is really important here. I will put it here. Okay, I'm sorry. I wanted to use the laser in my presentation. Okay. So here, so clearly define a problem opportunity, and then you need to quantify the problem. So I will give you something that you can use. I call it it's kind of a hamburger, or you call it whatever. It's SDS. So S is the bread, D is the meat, and S is the other part of the bread. So if you put the three, you have a hamburger. The first S is story. And then after you add data, which is the meat, and you finish also with the story, meaning that you will see it through all this presentation. It's really to mix logic, so data, and mix it with emotion, which is story. So you put emotion, logic, emotion, because at the end of the day, all of us, we are, let's say, emotion beings. We take decisions based on emotion, and then we justify them by logic. So it's really important to keep that in mind clearly. So use data to show the problem and how it is impacting negatively the organization. So this is something that is really important. And also connect it to a bigger part of the organization, showing, okay, this problem is impacting us on our organization, but maybe it's impacting our suppliers, it's impacting, let's say, our industry, and how, let's say, if we solve this issue, we can, let's say, address a lot of pain points from both internally and externally. So this is really something that is important that you have to keep in mind. And also to create that sense of urgency is to do a what if. So what if we don't do this? Because you have highlighted the problem and then you list all the negative consequences. So, okay, if we don't do this today, tomorrow, it will be worse. So we have to act now. So this is a way also of creating a sense of urgency. And coming back to the last step, which is also a kind of way to do it, I call it the SDS. Don't you remember? Story, data, story. Always have this kind of a sandwich where you have emotion, logic, emotion, something that is really very important to trigger the need. So let's see how Sarah is triggering the need in her presentation, where she wanted to pitch her new project. So she said, therefore, because I said, therefore, it's really something important. It's a part of the Substck storytelling framework. When you do a statement and you say but, so you diverge, and then you like do a kind of a twist, and then therefore you connect that statement to a bigger picture. So this is what Sarah is doing here, and therefore we have seen a surge in engagement with our personalized email campaign. They are good, but so you see that here she's adding, let's say, a but, meaning that she will identify an issue that then after she will offer a solution in the next step. But we are missing a golden opportunity to connect on a deeper level, more impactful level, personalized video content. So basically, Sarah wants, let's say, her company to move from, let's say, email marketing to using, let's say, video, personalized video, to be more to connect, to be more connecting with the audience of her company. Okay, then after, once you have set the stage, you have triggered a need, so you have identified a problem. So the next logical step will be to say, okay, this is the problem that I have identified, and this is my project, which is the solution. The solution, sorry, not the solution, like in French. So this is where you say, okay, this is the solution. This is so. How do you offer a solution? It's really where you introduce your big idea. Try to make it really simple and memorable. This is where maybe it can be. You can have as a kind of a visual aid. You can have a very nice logo, a very nice motto, so that people can remember your big idea and your project. So make it simple and memorable. The question that you can ask yourself is my project tagline, let's say, shareable, very easy to understand? Is the why of my project or the way I'm offering a solution, is it something that people can remember at the end of this presentation so that they can go and share it with someone else? So this is really something that is really important. So if we go back to the different steps for that. So as I said, now you have to be really clear and concise. So this is really something that is really, really important. I will just try to zoom in a little bit. Okay. And then after, it's really addressing the needs. So directly connecting your project to the challenges, to your audience challenges, something that is really important. Then what is your value proposition? Meaning that, okay, you are proposing something, a new project, how your project is really addressing the issue, how your project, sorry, is solving the issue, and more than just solving the issue, what is the value it is bringing to the organization? This is something that is really important. And then after, you have to build credibility for sure, and you have to build this trust really by bringing some evidence and addressing some concerns. So this is something that we will do in the next step when we reveal the obstacles. So this is something also that you can already start hinting at this stage of your project pitching. And then after, as I said earlier, I re-say it here again, it's really important for you to, let's say, align your project with the organization goals. Let's say your project should be a brick in the bridge, I would say, uh, that is being built by your organization to move forward to the next step in the organization. So this is something that is really important. So if you come back to Sarah, and she can say, okay, imagine this. Each customer receive a unique video message. They hear their name, okay, see the purchase history, and get a tailored recommendation. This personalized video strategy could be our game changer, taking customer engagement and brand loyalty to new heights. It's really something that is really important. And I think in this example that I'm sharing with you, is really to say, okay, how can we use storytelling, Storytap, in order to pitch a project? And here, most of the things that you see here is really appealing to emotion first and logic after, because emotion is what is driving our decision. And then after, I mean, each project, you should not, let's say, pitch it as, let's say, I don't know, something that is kind of a magic wand, like in Harry Potter, and you say a magic word and it will solve everything. Like everything in life, there will be obstacles. And I think also your stakeholders, your steering committee will expect from you that, I mean, you have identified some obstacles in the road, and identifying those obstacles will give you more credibility. So it's really important that you acknowledge the challenges of each project, because your project is not the first one in that organization, and they know, let's say, what are the challenges that each project in that organization is facing. So it's really important to acknowledge the challenges, and it helps you also create some kind of tension, because you say, this is my solution, but wait, those are the obstacles. So it's always therefore, but it's really something important, and it helps you also create kind of tension, because as I said many times in storytelling, you have two C's. You have the context and the conflict, and only by having those two that you can, let's say, close the circle. So it's really something that is really important. Okay, so if we come back to triggering the need, I will try to make it big again. I'm switching between two screens and my stream deck, so just bear with me. Okay, so if we come back here to say, okay, in every project, in every organization, I mean, we have limited resources. It means that we cannot fund all projects. So there should be a need for prioritization. So it means that you have to address some budget constraints. And then after some funding gaps, all of that, you can say, yes, I know that we have limited budget, and it's up to you as a project leader to be able to convince, let's say, people to put, let's say, their limited money and also human resources, because there is also a limit in how many resources an organization can spend on projects, because sometimes maybe they get funding some other organization. I'm talking from experience here. Or maybe even there are too many projects. We have to prioritize. We cannot fund all those projects. Even every project leader come to say that their projects are the best. So using Storytap will help you, let's say, convince your steering committee that you have the, let's say, the best project. And by, let's say, addressing the elephant in the room or the obstacles, it will really give you some opportunities to shine. And for sure, maybe sometimes you will have the budget, the resources, but maybe the solutions for your project are some technological advancement that maybe that are not there yet, and something like that. So it's really also important for you to address, let's say, any technological hurdles, for example, something that is really important. And in every project, you will always have people in the organization who are for your project, people in the organization who maybe your project is competing with their needs in their organization. So it's kind of an opposition. So as a project leader, one of the main things the thing that you will spend most time doing is what is called stakeholder management. So basically, it means that you have to try to convince people. You have really to spend time trying to embark the people who are already convinced by the project, the people who are hesitating. You have to try to convince them, and those who are against, depending on how much power they have in the organization or in the decision, you have to spend more or less energy trying to, let's say, embark them on that journey. So this is really something that is really important. So there you will have some pushbacks from affected parties, as I said earlier. And then after you have, let's say, I don't know, I think the term is Parkinson law. So meaning that, at the beginning of the project, you will say, okay, my project, it will take 2 years. I have put every step one by one after the other. I have identified the critical path. I'm sure it will take 2 years. At the end, it will take 5. It maybe it will cost more, but it means that also this is really something that you have to take into account, that you will have, let's say, what we call a baseline. You will have, let's say, the ideal timeline of your project, but for X reasons, there will be some delays. So already thinking about those delays is something that you can already address and try to identify what are, let's say, the potential issues that can cause delay in your project. If you are identifying them earlier here, it means also that you can put in place, let's say, some mechanism in order to try to mitigate or minimize those kind of delays. And I think also it's really important to be transparent, because you are not the first project leader, as I said, in that organization. So it's really important to be transparent, to share everything that you have found during the preparation of the project, so that really you put all the obstacles in the table, and then after, in the next step, you will reveal how you will, let's say, tackle those obstacles. So let's go back to Sarah and see how Sarah, let's say, will pitch, let's say, will reveal the obstacle regarding her project. So, okay. And you all have been there. You pitch a project, and then after there is always a yes but person. Yes but this, yes but that. Okay, so we all have that colleague. Maybe sometimes I'm that kind of colleague for my colleague. So there is a team member that was a common concern, like they try to address kind of the elephant in the room. Well, sound amazing, Sarah, but wouldn't it create wouldn't creating individual videos for every customer be a logistical nightmare? Time and cost. So this is a kind of a challenge to say, okay, if we try to create, let's say, one individual video for each customer, doing it manually, I do video editing. It takes a lot of time. That's why now I'm doing live streaming, because it's less time consuming and it can really directly interact with you. So this is an obstacle that a coworker shared with Sarah. Okay, so now it's the opportunity for Sarah to say, okay, yes, there will be obstacles. I acknowledge them. But then after, this is where she will lay all the steps, what is called illuminate the path. This is where she will lay all the steps to address those kind of concern, all those obstacles that have been raised by her co-workers, the steering committee, or her colleagues. So this is something that this step is really the what. Offer a solution on step 3 is more like the why, if you remember the golden circle by Simon Sinek. So you start with the why, so that's why you start in step 3 by offering a solution, and then in step 5 This is where you talk about the what, the how, etc. So this is really where you show all the steps to, let's say, get from where we are today to where we want to be tomorrow. And then after, like stairs, you lay out each step. And then this is really where, as I said, you provide the how. How can you do that? Pun intended. This is a very interesting question, let's say. So you can do it in very, I mean, different ways. I would say. Just give me one sec. Okay. So how you can do this is identifying obstacles in the project. So this is something that you have already done. So then after, for sure, you have to have a kind of project provide strategies. So meaning, for example, you will break down your big project in work packages, and in those work packages, you will break them down in let's say I don't know, solutions, for example. So you have your big project, and the project is like let's say the months, and then after, the work packages are the weeks, and then the solutions are the days, and you explain how all those things will fit together to make your project, let's say, a success. And as I said, and I think I will say it again, use evidence, meaning that really you have to do your research as a project leader. You have always to use data to support, let's say, your argument, but make sure that that data is between, let's say, story, data, story, emotion, logic, emotion. So this is something that is really very important. And then after, what is important also in Illuminate the Path, as I said earlier, you are not the first project leader in that organization. So it's really important that you, as a project leader, let's say you take advantage of the previous project and where you had success, and really to say, okay, this is how we did it before, and this is how it was successful. And then we will apply the same methodology, even if it's not the same project, but it's not like we are we are on unknown territories. I'm trying to speak in French and translate in my head. Naviguer en terre inconnue, so like sailing on unknown, let's say, territories. Then after, as I said earlier, on the previous step, you let's say you reveal the obstacles, and now you have to address those concerns, and actively you have to explain, okay, those are all the obstacles that I talked to you about before, and this is for each of those obstacles, this is the solution I will put in front of it. And then if we are able to, let's say, have all the solutions together in a timeline working together, then I'm sure that we will get there. This is something that is really important. It's really important to create a momentum because I think movement breeds action, and action, let's say, breeds progress. And it's the only way for you to move forward in your project. So it's really important that you create momentum. You build confidence through, let's say, team expertise and commitment. You are not alone in that project. So you will have, by the time you are pitching your project, maybe you have identified, let's say, the frame of your project. You, as a project leader, you have work package leaders, and below those work package leaders, you might have what we call solution owner, because for each work package, you have identified different problems, and for each of those problems, you will put in front of that a solution. So this is really something that is really important for you to address. So Illuminate the Path is really something that is really important. So let's see how Sarah will do that. So before, if you remember, there was his colleague saying, okay, but if you want to do customized video for each customer, it will take a lot of time, it will take a lot of money. So this is where Sarah will illuminate the path very simply by saying this. That's where technology steps in. Therefore, you see that therefore is connecting to a bigger picture. When with new platform, we can, for example, automate personalized video creation. I think maybe some years ago, this was far-fetched, let's say, idea. But today, with the use of generative AI, artificial intelligence, or more, how I like to call it, augmented intelligence, because I don't like artificial intelligence. I'm more in favor of what I call augmented intelligence. You can, let's say, automate some video creation. You can even generate some videos based on, let's say, the data you have. For sure, you have to respect GDPR, like data privacy, we call it in the EU, because I'm living in France, so this is something that I'm very sensitive about. So customer data feeds unique messages at scale. And then she says something that is really important. We will start with a targeted pilot to our most loyal customer, gather data, and then scale strategically. I think this is really something that is important. And if you are doing some project, sometimes you will call, okay, you have to build an MVP, minimum viable product, and then after you have to ship it. And then after, based on the first, say, customer feedback, then after you can improve your MVP. So this is really something that is important. And here it's a very interesting approach, because it's not okay, let's build the solution end to end, and then after we ship it and we see what happens. It's very risky. So the approach here is to say, okay, first we will take our most loyal customers. We will, let's say, onboard them in kind of a beta program, telling them, okay, this is a beta software. We target you because you are our most loyal customers, and you will help us, let's say, build, let's say, that new product with us. So you also engage, let's say, your community, and making them part of the creation process of your new product. And as they are your most loyal customers, it means that they can be early adopters of new things in what you are doing. And then after your project is here, when we do project management, we use what we call LBIP, Lean Business Improvement Framework project. It means that you have to do the as is and the to be. So the as is, you can see it as where you paint a picture of, let's say, as I say now, you set the stage, you trigger the need, meaning that you identify the problems. And then after your solution, when you offer a solution, you are building a kind of to be. So it means that there is a transformation journey that your organization will go through, uh, thanks to the project that you are pitching. Meaning that there will be a before your project and an after your project. There will be a transformation of the organization, the ways of working, the new product that will ease the life of people in the organization. So it's really to say, okay, this is the as is with some pain points. This is the to be with the solution that will address those pain points. So this is really something that is important. So this is where you start building the vision of the future, where your project is already delivered and people are more happy. I can give an example. For example, today I'm working in an organization where for example, we are not using, let's say, generative AI or artificial intelligence for many reasons, but we are working with emails, presentation, Excel sheets, all of that. If we imagine tomorrow that we can use AI, artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence, to help us automate some tedious tasks, it means that tomorrow deploying AI for us will be very beneficial for all those, let's say, time-consuming, low added value tasks. So this is really where you build the future, the future, the future. You say in French, the future in English. And then really where you connect the dots. This is really something that is important. And how you can do that? Let me make it bigger on the other screen, like this. Okay. So you have really to paint a vivid future where, let's say, people can, because people are not in your head, they cannot see the benefits of your project and how it will change the organization. So it's up to you as a project leader to be able to pitch that to those people and to say, okay, this is how our organization will look in the future. It's important also to highlight positive as I said, positive changes and improvements. For example, if we take the example of deploying AI, maybe before people will spend a lot of time going through their emails, and now with the deployment of AI, there are a lot of tasks that are automated by AI, like checking the emails, summarizing them, automatically retrieving some actions for you in your emails, etc. So this is really where you have to let's say focus on the positive change. Logic and emotions. This is really something important. Then I will just come back here to put my face in the presentation. It's always coming back to the SDS, the hamburger, the sandwich, whatever you call it. SDS, story, data, story, emotion, logic, emotion. So this is basically what I'm trying to say here, meaning that it's really important really to balance rational arguments with emotional appeal. Because at the end of the day, as I said, we are emotional beings. We take let's say decision based on our emotions, and we justify it based on logic. This is like pure and simple because this is how our brain works, and this is how everything works, because we have too many information, and if we have to assess all the information before taking a decision, we will not take any decision in our daily activity. So this is really something that is important, and this is also in the transformation. Then once again, you can highlight some success stories from your organization. You can highlight some other maybe some other companies that have deployed similar solutions and that have, let's say, positive impact. You can have this is where, for example, you can have testimonials. So for example, you can have really stories that let's say amplify, let's say, the impact that you want to build in your organization. um, Visual prototypes, something that is really important, because sometimes I mean, you have spent a lot of time with your project. It's really something that's clear in your mind, but trying to make it visual for the rest of the steering committee, people who are not in your head, who maybe are not as familiar as you with the solution. So try to build some mockups. I talked before about building some MVP, minimum viable products. So all of that is a kind of a way of building let's say, painting a vivid picture of the future so that people can project themselves in the future in storytelling. That is called future pacing. I don't know if you watch movies sometimes when there is a heist movies. Okay, so movies where when they try to go and rob a bank, for example, you can see in the movie at the beginning when they start to stage, let's say, their heist, the let's say the director will switch to them doing the action in the bank, even if they are at the preparation stage. This is something that is in Ocean 11, one and two, I think. And if you can see it in every, let's say, heist movies, where at the beginning they have their crew, and then after they start having some plants in the table in some dark area with some light from the top, like where I am right now. And then after they say, okay, we do this and that and that, and then you see them in the bank looking at the surveillance cameras, taking some notes, etc. So this is future pacing. So this is really something that is important. What the director is trying to do in their movie is doing show don't tell, and trying really to build that vision in the eyes of the people who are watching the movie, the spectators, as they say in English. And really here, what is important when you are trying to have this kind of transformation journey is really to link back to the project original purpose. So the transformation at the end, it should be okay. With this transformation, we will arrive somewhere, and that somewhere, you see, it's a solution from the pain points that we identified earlier. So this is really something that is really important. Just a side note, so thank you to the two people who are following me right now. I don't know, is it from YouTube or LinkedIn? You can say hi if you want. And thank you very much for staying here with me. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation and see how Sarah will, let's say, share about, let's say, her transformation journey. So, therefore, I will make it a little bit bigger here. Therefore, imagine the possibilities. Birthday greetings, showcasing favorite products, thank you video with exclusive discount. This level of personalized content and connection is about making customers feel like VIPs, building lasting relationships that translate into growth for us. It's really having that personalized experience with your with the customers, using video, let's say video customized video for each of the customers is a way to feel the customers seen, heard, and valued by the brand, and it's a way, let's say, to build more connection with them because each of them will feel like a VIP, a very important person from that brand. A very easy example of that you can see is when, for example, Apple they did their first event. Let's say people were queuing, and the first people who enter the store, they have some employees cheering them up, applauding, and like they were like those heroes trying just to go and grab pay for a phone, which is kind of funny, but yeah, you see what I mean. Okay, so then after, once you have done the transformation, you have to remember, okay, why we are here today. You are here because you want the people around the table, the decision makers from your organization, to give you the money and to trust you that you will deliver on your promises. So you have really to make it simple for them. What is the next action that they have to do after listening to what you have said or listening to the story you try to share with them? So this is really where you have to make a clear request. It's always important to in your call to action to have a kind of an urgency because if it's not urgent, why should they say yes now? So it's up to you to really make sure that you are instilling instill urgency in what you are saying. So how can you do that in your project pitch using Storytap? Is a great question. And there are many ways to answer it. So project call to action is something that is really important. So capturing the audience, okay. So you have to use simple narrative, as I said, offer explicit and direct action steps. Okay. How can you do that? For example, you simplify the process for them to take action. You can have, let's say, a form which say yes, no, or you can have some way of framing the question. Who, instead of saying who's for it, you can say who's against it, because it's a more easy decision to take than to say who is for it, for example. Okay, this is really a way, and I think in every call to action you have to reduce the friction between what you want people to take as action and how they should take it. You can just imagine, for example, if you are buying something on Amazon, how it is easy for you to add it to your cart, because Amazon is really reducing the friction between you wanting a product and them delivering it to you at your doorstep. So this is really something that is important. Connect to transformation. So really, this is where you can also say, okay, my project will solve this kind of issue, and our organization will go through this transformation thanks to my project. It's something that is really important. And to frame your project as an opportunity, remember that at the beginning, I said that on the reveal the, let's say, on trigger the need, you have to do kind of what if not, meaning what if we don't do this. So this is really where you say, what if we don't do it? With my project, we will do it, and it will have a positive impact in the organization. And it's always important to end in a motivating and grateful statement where you state to, let's say, to your sponsors, to your stakeholder, to thank them for taking the time to be there with you, to be able to listen to you, and to make sure that let's say they are ready to contribute to your project in some shape or form. So how Sarah will do the call for action, something very simple. I'm proposing a pilot program for personalized video marketing. So a small investment, so as you see, now could, let's say, unlock huge potential. So to put this in action, we give our customers the VIP treatment they deserve and revolutionize our customer engagement. So let's put this in action. So basically, she's asking for a go for her project because, and she's doing really the direct consequences of, let's say, the people in the room taking action, saying yes to her project, the direct, immediate, positive impact it will have in the organization and for the customers. And the P is impact. So this is where it's really important to end on a high note, create a lasting bond, meaning really this is where this is kind of what people will remember once you have finished your presentation. What is the take away message? What is, let's say, your story worthy or your shareable nugget that you are giving them so that they can go back with that. So here it's really something that is interesting also. Let me just do it like this, come back to the presentation. So you have really to summarize the core message. I think there is a tip which is, okay, at first you have to say it, let's say your core message by using, let's say, the language of the organization. And then after you have to repeat it at the end by using simple words, metaphors, etc., so that really people can get the message. You have really to repeat it many times in different ways so that people can remember what is the core message of why your project is important. Ending on a high note, it can be from a personal perspective, why this project matters to you, connecting it to your personal story, connecting it to the value that you want to bring to the organization, connecting it really to any story that can inspire, that is inspiring you, something that is really important. Lasting bond creation, so it's always another way to do it, expressing gratitude and offering continued engagement to create a lasting bond, meaning that, okay, you can say something like, this is not the end of the presentation. If you want some clarifications, if you want more information, I will be happy to share with you all the information that I have. And memorable takeaways is like something where you have really to make it easy to understand. And then after, you have to provide a reminder to reinforce, let's say, your core message. You have to explain it in different ways using let's say metaphors is always a good way to do it. And now you can use, let's say, tools like ChatGPT to say, okay, this is my sentence, rephrase it for a 5-year-old, for an old person, whatever. It's really something that is important here, that you make sure that you are creating a long-lasting impact. So if you come back, so this is the last step, and let's see how Sarah is creating a lasting impact. Then Sarah, now she knows that she has planted a seed that has the potential to blossom into a powerful customer engagement and strategy driven by the magic personalization of storytelling. The team is excited to explore this innovative approach, confident that it can make a real difference in their business landscape. Really something simple. So yeah, that's it for me. And one more thing, what will be our next session? So in the next session, if you are there, you want to be here with me in the coming weeks, I will share how you can use Storytap to tell stories for your kids, bedtime stories to kids. I'm as I call myself a part-time creator dad. I have two boys of 4 and 6, and I like to use stories to tell them stories, that we create stories together. And on the next episode of Storytap, I will share let's say, how you can apply the Storytap framework within, with your kids or your nephews if you don't have kids, or at least young children if you are, for example, working with young children, how you can use the Storytap framework, which is a very simple framework and which can also apply to kids. So this will be the next the next presentation. And as always, if you are watching this on my YouTube channel, maybe consider subscribing if you found value on it. If you are, feel free to connect also with me on LinkedIn or scan the QR code to. I have also a Substack where I will share, for example, the deck of slides that I'm sharing here with you. I will share it with the replay of the video only on Substack. This is the only place where you can find it. I'm not paying it behind a paywall, so you can have it for free, because my aim also is to put this framework in as many hands as possible, because I believe that each of us, we deserve to tell our story. We deserve to change the world by just sharing some impactful stories. So free of charge, nothing to pay. You just go there. Maybe to support me, you can just follow me. We can connect on LinkedIn or on Substack to follow my publication, and it will help me to spread the word, and you will be contributing to that. So thank you very much for being here with me today, and I hope that you found value on this presentation. And until then, I wish you a very nice happening. I will not say evening or morning, wherever you are. If you are watching this on replay, thank you very much also for being here. I did not ask a lot, but if you have, let's say, something that you would add, because you are a project leader in a different organization. I myself am a project leader, so I'm very passionate about storytelling and leading a project. So this kind of the best framework that really applied to me, because this is really I'm living right now. So clearly, if also you have, let's say, some use cases where you want me to break down the Storytap framework for that use case, for example, and think about how you can use Storytap for community engagement, online communities, because I'm also into community engagement. Maybe you have your next TED talk and you want to use Storytap for personal stories. All those, let's say, framework are in the pipe. So make sure to subscribe. And until then, I wish you a very happening. Thank you very much for spending the time here with me, and see you next time.